Christmas will be here before we know it, and I know I'm getting ready to cross a bunch of people off my list with some wonderful DIY gifts. Today, I even have 5 DIY gifts that I built completely from scraps using things I already had in my wood shop. And if these 5 gifts aren't going to be enough, I've also teamed up with my friends Shara from Woodshop Diaries and Annika from Annika's DIY Life. They are also sharing 5 DIY gifts today, so you're going to be able to cross off everybody on your gift list. Let's get building.
Let's build an easy playing card tray. I used 1/4-inch thick boards to cut out all the pieces, then on the sides, I made a template to draw a wavy design on them. I used a hole saw to cut out the curves at the bottom of the waves before cutting the top of the design out with a jigsaw. Once all the pieces were shaped, I sanded everything before assembly. I glued the center and side pieces in place using painter's tape as a clamp. Then I glued on the front and back and taped them into place. Once all the pieces were together, I clamped it and left it till the glue dried. Next, I added some vinyl letters to the bottom of the tray sections to spell out draw and discard, then stained the tray with a water-based stain so it wouldn't bleed under the stencils. Once it was dry, I peeled away the stickers and it was all done. This simple card tray is the perfect DIY gift for anyone who loves card games. I love the wavy design on the side that makes it easy to draw and discard the cards. Let's build a simple charging station from scraps. First, I ripped some plywood scraps to width, then cut them to length with my miter saw. I added a curved corner to all the divider boards using a small paint can as a template, then sanded it smooth. And I ironed on edge banding to finish off all the plywood edges. I used pocket holes to attach the side pieces to the base. I needed a 90-degree drill adapter to get into the tight space. Then I attached the base to the front and back, again using the 90-degree adapter to drill my screws in. Next, I added the center dividers with a couple pocket holes strategically placed on the back so you don't see them. I drilled holes in the back and sides of the base, then cut away the sides to create a U. This gives me the perfect place for cords to thread through. Before sealing, I added a monogram to the front with a vinyl stencil, then I sealed it with furniture butter. And now I have the perfect place to charge my phone, tablet, and laptop. The cords are hidden in the base so my countertop stays clean. I also added some cord clips to the side to keep the cables in place. Let's build an easy jewelry organizer. I drilled holes in the side board the same size as my brass rods. Then in the base piece, I used a large Forstner bit to drill flat-bottomed holes for little trays. I used a dowel jig to add holes for dowel joinery to the end and side of the boards, then dry fit them with the dowels before adding glue and clamping them to dry. Next, I pre-drilled holes in the bottom for adding cup hooks, being careful not to drill them too deep. Then I gave my boards a thorough sanding and sealed them with some furniture butter. I twisted the brass hooks into the underside holes, then I threaded the brass rods into the holes and used a couple drops of super glue to hold them in place. Finally, I added keyhole brackets to the back, then hung it on the wall with a couple screws. This will be the perfect gift for my teenage daughter to organize all her jewelry without taking up lots of space in her room. Let's build a spoon rest from scraps. I drew out a curved teardrop design by connecting 2 circles together and cut it out with a jigsaw. I saved some of the sawdust to use later, then I sanded the curves smooth. I found a very small scrap of purple heart to use. I nailed it to a larger scrap so I could clamp it down and cut a curve out of the top with a large drill bit. Then I carefully cut it down to size before sanding the tips smooth. In the base, I used a large Forstner bit to drill a flat-bottomed hole in the top, making sure to keep the depth even all the way around. I added a roundover to the outside of the base and softened the edge of the hole, then sanded everything nice and smooth. I mixed my saved sawdust with wood glue to fill in the hole made by the tip of the drill bit. Then it was finally time to glue the 2 pieces together. Once dry, I sealed my new spoon rest with cutting board oil and it was all done. I love that I could turn these too small to use scraps into something beautiful and useful. Let's build a gift for a gamer. I printed and traced templates onto my pieces. The back was cut out with a jigsaw, then sanded smooth. To get 2 exact pieces for the sides, I attached them together in the area that was being cut off, then drilled holes for pivot points for my jigsaw before cutting them out. For the base, I curved the corners and then added a roundover to the top edge. Then I measured out where the 2 pieces were going to be attached and pre-drilled holes to attach them. Then I drilled holes to countersink the screw heads on the underside. I attached the sides to the back with glue and brad nails, then placed it on top of the base and clamped tight before flipping it on its side to secure through the holes. I added a design to the back with a vinyl stencil using a water-based stain so it wouldn't bleed. Then I stained the entire thing a medium brown. And it was all done. Now my son has the perfect place to store his video game controllers and headphones.
And just like that, I have crossed 5 names off of my Christmas list this year, and I didn't have to spend any time in lines at the store. Make sure to check out Annika's and Shara's gifts as well. I'll put a link to their video in the description below. And then make sure to check out housefullofhandmade.com. I have tons more DIY gift ideas and amazing things for you to build for your home.